Good morning, viewers. My name is Elizabeth, a counseling psychologist, having specialized in marriage and family therapy, and I feel humbled, privileged to have been given an invite by Juja St. Matthew's ACK, and I'm so grateful that I'm here this morning. My topic today will be on domestic violence. Domestic violence, and I'll start by saying what domestic violence is. Domestic violence entails a behavior whereby a person has power or control over an intimate partner. That means the other person can control the other one in many ways. The other person is sidelined. The other person is sort of stressed because the other person has taken total control of him or her. Domestic violence generally occurs when people are in constant conflicts, quarrels, disagreements, meaning the conflicts, they occur more often than not, meaning the people are conflicting many times, they are at war many times, they wage war against each other, and therefore domestic violence becomes very prevalent. This is because the couple or the people engaged, they lack what we call proper communication. When we talk of proper communication, it's whereby you communicate and you don't get the feedback. Therefore, the two people find themselves in a fix. Hence, it ends up creating a very, very bad state, and domestic violence creeps in. I want to say domestic violence has become very, very prevalent in our society, and so many people have become suicidal, and they have done so many bad things to each other. They have hurt one another owing to the fact that they disagree on many issues. Domestic violence is also accelerated when the intimate partners lack these three pillars. One, structure. They also lack order, and they also lack discipline. I want to explain a bit. When there is no structure, it means the home setup has no arrangement or pattern per se. We know in a building, construction has to be done for it to be a building. So if a home setup does not have a structure, there occurs disintegration. There is also a lack of discipline. Discipline means you are able to obey the rules. When we set rules as a couple, are we following those rules? When we say the husband is to be doing this and the wife is to be doing this, are we following that order, or we are defying the odds? Next, the other one is order. Are we orderly in following what we have already said? So domestic violence actually occurs when we lack those three pillars. And it is quite important when people meet, they have pillars that will support their love and their staying together. We have three forms of domestic violence. We have the verbal violence, we have the physical violence, and the psychological violence. I want first to talk about the verbal violence. When we talk of the verbal violence, it's where there is exchange of words, vulgar language, bad words thrown against one another, calling names. This one is received very negatively by either the couple, either the man or the woman, the girlfriend and the other person. And when these exchanges are made, things become very bad. So I would say for a marriage to start well, for domestic violence to ease, we need not to exchange bad words to each other. I want to state a case example. There was once a couple, a woman cooked food, and the food had more salt than normal. The husband, when he was given food, he said, this salt is a lot, or it is bitter. Then the wife said, it's not bitter, it is bitter, it's not bitter, it is bitter, it's not bitter. Finally, they erupted a very bad quarrel. and the wife was thrown out of the house. So verbal exchanges are very bad, and we need to avoid them as much as possible. When you see one person is high, it is important for you to calm down. The other form of violence is psychological violence. Psychological violence comes in when we have the Cold War. Here, people do not seem like they are mistreating one another, but they may end up not talking to one another for days, for weeks and months, and the home becomes very cold. So this is another way that violence can also occur, and it becomes a bad one, creates what even we call stress, and finally there is depression. So psychological violence is even worse because the couples are not talking. A case example, one time a couple disagreed with one another, and the quarrel went on up to night time. And when they went to sleep, they were not talking to each other. What happened? The wife was using an inhaler. And when she was using an inhaler, at night she touched the husband to be given the inhaler. And because they were not talking to each other, there was what we call psychological war. The husband did not give, and the wife died at night. So that is what psychological war or psychological violence can do when we are not talking to each other, because it may end up you losing your loved one. The other form of violence that is quite prevalent in our society is physical violence. We have experienced so many cases in Kenya where people are fighting each other, where people are killing each other, and our case examples are given in very many areas whereby a man kills a husband kills a wife, a father-in-law kills a son, and so many things have happened. So physical violence have brought a lot of sorrows, has brought a lot of sadness in our society, and hence we ought to be very, very careful with those kinds of violence because they end up creating what I call a dysfunctional family. Now, I want to go to the second part of my talk. How can we lessen the domestic violence? We have seen what can bring domestic violence. How can we ease or reduce domestic violence? Yes, we have it with us. It is there. And when it comes or when we find ourselves in such a state, what are we supposed to do? One, we should have what we call mutual understanding. Let the couple understand one another. Let the couple talk. You talk and I talk. We agree on one another. We normally say, the person is not the problem is the problem. So the couple should address the problem, but not the person. We go wrong when we start fighting one another instead of tabling the problem and solving the problem. In this case, in mutual understanding, as a couple, you can do what we call managing the manageable and solving the solvable. Not everything in this earth will be solved. If the marriage is 60%, it's good to go. If it's 70%, almost perfect. So let us have mutual understanding. After all, we love one another. Another thing that can reduce violence is unconditional love. Don't love your partner with some sort of conditions. Have some what we call unlimited love. Love your partner the way they are. Correct them where you can correct them. It is important that we give people we love unconditional love. We have found most of the times I wrong once, I am very much judged. Let us avoid what we call a judgmental attitude. Let us have what we call unconditional positive regard to our partners. Another thing we can do to reduce domestic violence is proper communication. When I talk of proper communication, it is this communication that you need some feedback. When your partner talks, listen. Let's take our partners or have our partners' ears. Listen to them. Be emphatic. We normally call it emphatic understanding. Listen to them. Listen to what they are saying. Even if it doesn't look very good to you, listen to them. The other point where we can reduce violence is manage your emotions. manage your emotions. Be in touch with yourselves. Many a times, people have landed into problems because when they get annoyed, they put their annoyance so far such that they end up destroying themselves. Let us avoid destroying themselves by not being able to control our emotions. We know very well self-control is a fundamental emotion, and we should employ it in marriage because many a times the partners will be stepping on one another. Therefore, it is important you are able to manage your emotions. We normally say you better lose everything else, but never lose your emotions. Once you lose your emotions, you commit suicide and do other bad things that will land you in jail. The other point, that is the 6th point, be objective in your marriage as opposed to being subjective. What do I mean? When you are objective, the coin has two sides. Look at things two-sided. Don't just look at things one-sided. Many a times we look at a mistake on one side and we fail to look at a mistake on the other side. So when we are objective, we are able to look at things in a critical manner. And when we are subjective, we blame the person. We use what we call blame game. Let us not use blame game in our marriage. We shift blames. That's why domestic violence are becoming prevalent, because we are very subjective, we blame people. I normally say there are three major things that really destroy each other. One is criticizing, the other one is blaming, and the other one is complaining. So as a couple, for this violence to ease or to reduce, avoid those three ills: blaming, criticizing, and also complaining. They are very, very bad. And the last point, use the 5 R's. Use the 5 R's. To solve your issues in marriage, these are very key. 1 R. The first R is relax. Problems have come, yes, but relax. When you relax, you give room for thought. So when we relax, you are able to think upright, you are able to think positive. The other R is reflect. When you reflect, you are able to see the disadvantages and advantages of what you are doing. The third R is report. Share with the person. How are you feeling? You are so bitter about a person. Share it out. And when you share it out, we normally say problem half solved, talked is half solved. So when you report, you share. You can share with the person who is near to you, a friend, or even God. Share that problem. The 4th R is release. When you share, you get what I call in counseling catharsis. Catharsis means the pent-up feelings, those issues that were deep-rooted in your heart, you are able to bring them out because you do what we call talking. We normally call it talk therapy. Talk therapy brings about catharsis, which is very, very important. And lastly, regain. When you release, you are able to gain the energy, you are able to get back the energy, and the family will move on. Therefore, I can say it is very, very important to be able to reduce violence if only you are able to follow those steps depending on the issue that was at hand. Therefore, I would talk to the people who have been in violence that it is not the best way. In fact, it's not the best way. Domestic violence is not the only way. There are other things that can be done better than violence. Let people stay together. That's what God ordained people to do. And when they do that, they shall live a fruitful life. Thank you.